Angela is burnt out. Diane is panicked. Margaret is overwhelmed. And Lila is determined but terrified. And if we're being honest, a piece of each of these stories probably feels familiar to you too. Every week I get emails like these, women in midlife doing everything right on paper, yet still feeling like money is slipping through their fingers. Oh, I care about this because I've been there myself, lying awake at night wondering how the numbers never seem to work no matter what I do and how careful I am. But what if the answers we're all searching for aren't just in my advice, but in the wisdom we share with each other? Hi, my friend. If you're new here, my name is Sarah. I'm the owner of FrozenPennies.com. I'm a financial coach and the author of the international best-selling book, Fundamentally Frugal, link below. Over the past week or so, I've received 4 heartfelt emails from women in our community. I've changed their names for privacy, but their stories are very real. My hope is that we can come together with kindness and encouragement to offer support and share tips that might help make their situations just a little bit easier. So let's start with Angela. Her story grabbed me because it's not just about money. It's about what happens when your body and spirit can't keep up anymore. Angela's story: burned out from 2 jobs. Our first email is from Angela. She's been working 2 jobs, sometimes 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Her knees hurt, her back hurts, and she's running on 3 to 4 hours of sleep most nights. And yet, the money still isn't enough. She's behind on rent, her car payment, and insurance. She feels like she's robbing Peter to pay Paul. And honestly, she's at the breaking point. If you've ever been there, you know this kind of exhaustion. You start with good intentions, thinking the second job will be a boost. And then reality sets in. The pay is small, the hours are long, and it takes a toll on your body and your spirit. At the end of the day, Angela is giving everything she has, but the numbers still don't add up. Here's what I tell her. This is the time for budget triage. Step 1 is protecting the essentials. When everything feels like it's falling apart, it's tempting to try to keep up with every single bill. But that's how people burn out. Angela's focus has to be on housing, transportation, food, and insurance. The things that keep her safe, fed, and able to work. Credit cards, medical bills, even some utilities can be negotiated later, but losing your roof or your car will throw everything into chaos. Step 2 is letting go of the guilt. If you can't pay everything right now, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. We're not taught this in school, and we don't often hear it said out loud, but sometimes bills will have to wait. You cannot outrun your debt by running your body into the ground. Protecting your health and your sanity is just as important as protecting your finances. Step 3 is resisting the temptation to add another job. When you're already stretched thin, piling on more hours won't fix the core problem. Another paycheck won't help if your expenses are higher than your income. That's just spinning the wheels faster. The real answer lies in cutting back when possible, negotiating down bills, and restructuring debt. That's not as glamorous or as immediate as clocking into another shift, but it's what actually creates long-term breathing room. But I don't want this to just be my voice. Have you ever worked multiple jobs and still felt like you couldn't catch up? What did you do that made a difference? Angela needs to hear from women who've been in her shoes. Share your story in the comments. You might give her the encouragement she's looking for. Diane's story. Husband lost his job at 62. So next is Diane, who lives in Western New York. She's 55, a nurse, and thought she and her husband had finally stabilized after years of financial ups and downs. They've faced foreclosure. They've faced bankruptcy, hard choices. But after that, she felt like they had finally found steady ground. Then, last week, her 62-year-old husband lost his job. No warning, no time to prepare. For now, he'll get an 18-week severance, but after that, no paycheck, no health insurance. Diane says she's panicking. She's cooking meals ahead and freezing them, canning fruit, reading every frugal blog she can find. But in her words, it feels too little, too late. And this is the part that really struck me. When this happens when you're younger, you think, I have time to fix this. Now, I worry I don't. That's the weight of midlife. When we're younger, there's hope that time will cushion the blow. At 55, the energy and runway feels shorter, and every decision feels urgent. Here's what I tell Diane. This is the time for energy mode budgeting. Step 1 is to stretch that severance as far as humanly possible. 18 weeks may sound like a lot, but it will go fast if you live as though nothing has changed. Now is the moment to cut back on everything non-essential. Pause subscriptions, slash eating out, delay big purchases, and redirect every extra dollar into covering the basics. Even things like lowering your thermostat a few degrees, meal prepping with cheaper ingredients, or calling your utility company and ask about budgeting billing can really buy you more time. Think of it as switching your household into conservation mode. Step 2 is to get ahead of the healthcare question right now. Losing insurance at 62 is scary, and waiting until the coverage runs out will make it even scarier. Diane and her husband should immediately check into things like COBRA, state marketplace plans, and whether he qualifies for any bridge coverage until Medicare at 65. Sometimes it's cheaper to use a short-term plan or even separate coverage for prescriptions and doctor visits. Knowing the numbers ahead of time will take away some of the fear and help them budget more clearly. Step 3 is to create new income streams that fit this stage of life. That doesn't mean Diane has to pick up a third exhausting nursing shift or her husband has to dive into another full-time role. It could be part-time consulting in his old field, remote administrative work, or a seasonal job that brings in a few $100s a month. Small amounts matter, not only financially but also psychologically, because they replace some of the stability that paycheck loss takes away. Now I want to bring you in. Have you or your spouse lost a job later in life? What was the first thing that you did that you found helped? Diane's story is raw and fresh. Your advice could be exactly what she needs to hear. Margaret's story, debt on a fixed income. Margaret's email is short but powerful. How do you get out of debt when you're living on a fixed income of less than $2,000 a month? It doesn't take many bills to see how tight that number is. Rent, utilities, food, car insurance, those alone can eat most of it. And debt payments on top, it feels impossible. And that word impossible is heavy because it steals your hope before you even start. Here's what I tell her. This is the time for small, deliberate steps that create breathing room. Step 1 is to build momentum with the smallest win possible. When you're living on less than $2,000 a month, debt can feel like a mountain you never climb. And even tiny victories matter. Start with the smallest bill or the one with the highest emotional weight. Maybe it's a medical bill that keeps sending letters or a store card with lingering balance. Paying that down even $25 at a time gives you a win to hold on to. You're showing yourself that progress is possible and that mindset shift is powerful. Step 2 is to pick up the phone and negotiate. Creditors and utility companies often have hardship programs that most people never hear about. Ask for a lower interest rate, reduce minimum payment, or a temporary pause while you get stabilized. If you're on disability, retired, or having health challenges, mention it. Sometimes just explaining your situation can open doors to relief options, debt forgiveness, or income-based repayment plans. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and in this case, saves you hundreds of dollars a month. Step 3 is to lean on community resources without shame. Food pantries, senior centers, churches, and utility assistant programs assist for exactly this reason. Every bag of groceries you don't have to buy, every heating bill that gets supplemented, frees up more than $2,000 for debt payoff and essentials. It's not failure to use those resources, it's wisdom. They're designed to bridge the gap so you don't have to carry it all alone. Margaret's challenge isn't about doing everything at once. It's about stacking little wins, asking for help where possible, and protecting the peace of mind in the process. Over time, those small changes compound, and that's how you dig out, even on a fixed income. This isn't about magic solutions. It's about doing what you can with what you have and letting go of the shame that often comes with being in this position. Margaret's courage in asking the question shows she's ready to start. Now, I want to ask you, if your mom, your sister, your best friend were in Margaret's shoes, what advice would you give her? Sometimes the most practical tips come from people who've walked this path before. Leave your ideas in the comments. Lila's story, preparing for retirement the small way. Finally, we have Lila, and her story feels a little different. It's more hopeful. Lila's 61, and she's making all of the right moves. She's maxing out her HSA. She's funding a Roth IRA. She's saving one whole paycheck each month, and she's doubling her mortgage payments so the house will be paid off by 2029. She wrote to me asking, is there anything else I can do to make the most of these last 6 years before retirement? Now, I love this question because it's not rooted in panic. It's rooted in wisdom. Lila is preparing while she still has income instead of waiting until it's too late. She's thinking strategically, not just about today, but about her future. Here's what I tell Lila. This is the time for fine-tuning and maximizing the last high-income years. Step 1 is to review and rebalance investments. With retirement only 6 years away, this is the moment to make sure her portfolio isn't carrying unnecessary risk. She should sit down with a trusted financial advisor and look at her 401k, her Roth, and HSA allocations. If too much is a high-risk stocks, shifting gradually toward a more balanced mix, including bonds, cash equivalents, or stable funds, can protect her from a market downturn right before retirement. This doesn't mean pulling everything out of the market, but making sure volatility won't derail her hard work. Also, I want to point out that I'm a financial coach and not a financial advisor. So this is just my opinion on this. She is better off going to a certified financial advisor to get help with these investments. Step 2 is to plan proactively for healthcare. At 61, she's close to Medicare, but not quite there. And healthcare costs in retirement are one of the biggest wild cards. She's doing the right thing by maxing her HSA. But now is also the time to run the numbers on supplemental coverage, long-term care, and possible out-of-pocket expenses. The more she knows about what healthcare will realistically cost, the more peace of mind she'll have. Step 3 is to shape her lifestyle now to fit her retirement goals. She's already doubling her mortgage payments, amazing, but what about downsizing or paying attention to ongoing expenses like utilities, insurance, and everyday living costs? Starting to live on her retirement budget now, while she still has a full paycheck, gives her a trial run. If she can comfortably save one whole paycheck a month today, maybe she can redirect part of that into building an even larger cushion for retirement emergencies. Consider a high-yield savings account for better interest rates. Now, I have a great resource to help you pick the best one for you. The link is in the description below, or you can use this QR code. Lila's story is inspiring because it proves it's never too late to be intentional. She's not scrambling, she's preparing. And the smartest thing that she can do now is to fine-tune her plan so she steps into retirement with confidence instead of fear. Lila is proof that frugal doesn't mean deprived. It means intentional. And I want to open this up to you. What's the smartest financial move you've made in your 50s or 60s? Let's make Lila's question a chance for all of us to share wisdom that can ripple out to everyone watching. These 4 women, Angela, Diane, Margaret, and Lila, are asking different questions, but underneath the theme is the same. Money in midlife feels complicated, heavy, and sometimes overwhelming. I've shared my thoughts, but the truth is we're stronger when we share with each other. So scroll down, leave a comment with your best piece of financial advice for one of these women. Let's make this video a place where midlife women can find not just tips, but real encouragement. And if you're nodding along with these stories and want more, make sure to let me know. And don't forget to subscribe because every week we're talking about real money for real life.